joy of conscious living. Living. We live our life. Some people live with animal minds, some people live with their intellect, some people live highly organized life, some people live culturing and nurturing their emotion, intellect, mind in the outer social, personal, professional activities. Living is always there. Some people live with regrets, with worries, and with problems, with the pain. Some people always live in the past. They remind their past. They have a regret. Some people live with comparison every day. Oh, my neighbors has a luxurious car, the Mercedes, and I don't have. Everyone is living. But living consciously is a big challenge and opportunity. Living consciously. So you see, these animals are living unconsciously, habitually. They are programmed by the nature. That is why we say animal mind, animal instincts. So, is there a joy of conscious living among animals? Oh, animal life is programmed. And tiger is there in the forest, and you approach near. Animal instinct. There is no other way. You, we, uh, Prerna gives, feeds to the birds every day. We have created a lot of nest around in the patio. So she gives the feed to the birds, and when she approaches near the bird runs away. Animal instinct. See that? So animal, and they have their own season for sexual pleasure. They so this animal life is guided by the safety, security, safety, pleasure for the sex by default, food and the sleep. Because they are very much programmed by the nature, they don't have their own conscious way of living. And that is why they can be easily imprisoned. We have created many Jews all around the world. If they live consciously, they should have created a Jew for human race. Here is an American breed of human being. Here is African breed of human being. So the Eastern wisdom asks us to think and understand the life lived consciously, one, and the moment we start living consciously, the joy, the permanent peace, and the happiness is discovered from deeper within. That joy of conscious living is the journey of mindfulness or meditation. That life lived is organized and regulated by the intellect and lived in tune with the existence, in tune with our highest nature. So every religion, say for example, teaches to worship the God. They have their own God. They have the do's and don'ts. Hmm? But what we are doing in mindfulness and meditation, that who am I? Let me know myself first before I know the God. So when I start exploring who am I, the master says in a deep meditation and mindfulness, we discover our true nature. What is the proof that we are living in a false nature? The science knows, we all know. If we are guided and dominated and dictated by the animal mind, we are living an animal life. Coronavirus is there, let it be there. Let me use my intellect. What are the precautions to be taken? How to regulate and reorganize my life? How not to be dictated by the animal mind? Then I'm living safely. See that. So, we will cover one book by one great master. He has written only 5 verses. And in the 5 verse, he has given 40 principles. Very simple and easy to follow the principles to regulate the life so that not only we succeed in meditation, but the life becomes the joy of conscious living. Joy of conscious living. So these 5 verses are nothing but a project of life. We prepare a business project, marketing project, we prepare a family project, we prepare a lot of projects. But in these 5 verses, it is a project of life. It is a project of life living consciously at every moment with clarity and conviction so that this entire life becomes a celebration. We celebrate an event, birthday, anniversary, and the moment we plan to celebrate that event in our life, a few weeks before we start preparing, inviting guests, and we are filled with immense pleasure. And the moment that event is over late in the evening, oh, I'm too much tired. That joy, that immense joy also disappears from my life. So, this text gives us a clue that we allow the life to enter into a celebration. So let anything and everything happen in the world. We continue to celebrate our life. We make our entire life a celebration. That is the real understanding of the journey of meditation and mindfulness. Think of this. Can I make my entire life a celebration? Only when every moment in my life is lived consciously, subconsciously, habitually, animally, then I'm not more than an animal. So, in the 5 verses, this master gives 40 instructions, and in the verse In the verse 1, he gives a blueprint of first gain the right knowledge. He says, gain the right knowledge and understand how to perform duties in your personal, professional, family life. Then he says how to dedicate our karma, our action to the higher existence, invoking our emotional nature, purifying it. In the same verse, he says, understand the binding desire and unbinding desire. So start living your life with unbinding desire. Any desire that is binding causes suffering, pain, and problem. In the verse 2, he gives certain principles that what are obligatory duties towards the family, the society, the profession, and how to perform that. In the verse 3 comes the preparation for mindfulness. How to prepare yourself for mindfulness and the highest life in the living. In the fourth verse, in the third verse, what he does, he says, nurture your life and become an ideal seeker. That is what is the simple thing. I want to learn driving. So I pass the written examination, practical examination. I have a driving license, and then there is a joy of driving. That is the third verse. So he says that before we start the journey of meditation, we should create a fence around our life by these three verses with 24 simple and easy principles. Why to create a fence? Because living in meditation and mindfulness is totally a new birth. New birth. So it is like in the first three verses is like an agricultural field. You plow the field, you water it, you put the fertilizer, you sow the seed. And now you plan for the future. You create a fence around that field. That is our fourth verse. What are those fences? So that it gives me the highest state of meditation, to live into that state all the time. Once these four steps are complete, then in the fifth verse he says, here is meditation. There are two major steps of meditation, major practices or major divisions. The first division has more or less four stages, according to Patanjali, which is known as Sampragyat Samadhi, Sampragyat meditation. What that means? You do the practice, you experience relaxation, and suddenly during the practice of meditation, we understand why the mind falls down into unconscious sleep, why on a given day the mind keeps running on certain thoughts, how to get rid of this. So, in the first classification of meditation, according to Patanjali, we try to make the mind very subtle, clear, so that these thoughts do not interfere and interrupt in the process of meditation. And then in the second major classification, we reach to the objectless state of the mind. So, what happens when there is an objectless state of the mind? In that objectless state of the mind, the knowledge of my true nature is revealed in the mind. So, what happens when it is revealed in the mind? My all false notion drops completely, dissolves completely. And then what happens? Then that real self start expressing itself in thought, speech, and action through the body, in my family, personal and professional life. So it is a conscious living, and it becomes a joy of conscious living. So in 5 verses, he completed with 40 simple and easy instructions. He summarized all the teachings of the great masters with 40 principles or instructions. They are easy to follow, simple to incorporate in the life. Last thing before we go into that practice of mindfulness today. So, there, when we say we don't know my true nature, how do I know? I know it through my mind. So, where lies the problem that I don't know? It lies in the mind. So, where we have to put the solution and answer? Into the mind. See how simple it is. There is a problem. I live in anxiety and stress. I don't live in joy 24 by 7. So, where is the problem? Problem is the mind. Where I have to, so what is the solution? So, I have to put the wisdom and the knowledge in the mind. How to, what knowledge I have to put? All the instructions, so these 40 instructions. So, what will happen? The mind that is living in a false nature, now it has the solution, it starts living in the real nature. Simple way to understand. But it is not that unless we put all these 40 instructions and the principles step by step over a period of time with a commitment and regularity, the life turns out to be a joy of conscious living. That is the beauty of Eastern wisdom. So I thought that I should pick up this text to give you a general outline in the first series, and then we will continue our journey in this series. So